Good morning, CPAC. This is such a wonderful thing. Whenever I get a standing ovation, I know I'm not in Washington, D.C. So it's good to be in the United States of America with fellow freedom-loving individuals. It's always fun to be here, by the way. One of the things I like about being here is that you can talk a little bit about what it means to be a conservative, about the fact that we're conservatives because we want to conserve. Well, what is it we want to conserve? We want to conserve what makes us free, because by being free, we can unlock our unlimited human potential. In order to do that, we have to make sure that the government's not on our back. We understand that, right? We understand that in a way that liberals don't. In order to do that, we've got to restore that part of our culture that understands freedom and understands the need to protect the American people against the risks associated with the accumulation of power in the hands of the few. This is the kind of thing that needs to start in every dinner table, not just in boardrooms, not just in the chambers of government, but it needs to happen around the kitchen table. As a parent, I've had many moments where I've thought, good heavens, what did I do wrong? A few months ago, I had the opposite kind of experience. You love those. It's like having a payday as a parent. Sharon and I have three lovely children. Our youngest is a daughter. Her name is Eliza. She's a senior in high school. She's a teenager. And a few months ago, she had to have her wisdom teeth taken out. Now, having your wisdom teeth removed in my culture, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I'm not a drinker. We don't drink. And so when somebody gets their wisdom teeth out, it's sometimes the one chance you can see what it would be like to see that person drunk. And so you'll find if you have any Mormon friends, you'll see whenever they get the wisdom teeth out or one of their kids do, they will take videos just to have proof. They want to know, will so-and-so be a weepy drunk or a sad drunk or a friendly drunk or the I love you man kind of drunk? It turns out Eliza is sort of the I love you happy drunk, because as she was coming out of anesthesia, she was saying, I just love you, complimenting the medical staff around her, and then she said, Mom and Dad, I love you. You're such good parents. I love you so much. And then she paused, and she said, and I love federalism, and I love separation of powers. True fact. And if you're curious, I even have the video to prove it. I'm not making this up. And this was one of those moments where, as a parent, I thought, yes, something I said mattered, something I said made a difference. Why is it so important to focus on this? Why does this matter to me? Why do I believe it should matter to all Americans? Well, as Justice Scalia used to say, Justice Scalia, by the way, who loved him? We lost him just over 3 years ago, and we miss him very much. But one of the things he used to say is, any tin-horn dictator around the world can have a Bill of Rights. But whether or not it's able to protect you, to protect any individual, depends on the extent to which that system of government constrains those in power and prevents them from accumulating excessive power. Now, you've heard a lot about this accumulation of power in recent days, and all of a sudden, on the left, we see a magical resurgence, a magical reawakening of this idea that there ought to be separation of powers within our system of government. I almost went into anaphylactic shock when I saw Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi talking about separation of powers on national television. That's great, but I wish they would have talked about it sooner. Where was their outrage over the violation of the Constitution and the separation of powers in the last decade? Where was the concern about Congress's Article 1 power to declare war when President Obama declared a national emergency in 2011 as part of his undeclared war in Libya? Where was the concern about Congress's Article 1 power over immigration and naturalization when, in 2012, President Obama, having failed to get legislation passed through Congress that he wanted, created a brand new immigration amnesty program out of thin air? Or when he, again, unilaterally expanded his unconstitutional, illegal program in 2014, just days after his party had suffered massive losses at the polls. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, our deviation from federalism and from separation of powers, the vertical protection of federalism that keeps most of the power close to the people at the state and local level, and the horizontal protection of separation of powers that says we're going to have one branch that makes the laws, another branch that enforces them, and yet another branch that interprets them where people come into conflict as to their meaning. We've deviated from both of those principles under the leadership of houses of representatives, of senates, and White Houses of every conceivable partisan combination. What is making America great again, and what I believe will continue to make America great again, is our continued move in that direction toward rebalancing power, toward sending power back to where it belongs, which is with the people. In order to reignite this national conversation that I think we need to have, I've written a book, a new book that comes out on April 23rd. It's called Our Lost Declaration. You can buy it on Amazon today, by the way, pre-order it. But it delves into some of these topics. It delves into why it is that we became a country in the first place. Why it is that 2.5 centuries ago, under the administration of King George III, we decided that we as a people had been taxed too much. We had been regulated too oppressively. We had been represented by a government that was far from us and slow to respond to the needs of the people. We, as Americans, can learn much from our founding generation, from remembering why it is that we fly the Stars and Stripes and no longer the Union Jack. It wasn't just about getting rid of a monarchy. It was about our freedom. This isn't a partisan issue. This is a constitutional issue, and it is an absolute imperative for our freedom. Just as we have been since 1776, we, as Americans, are ready for this fight. Are you ready to join me and your fellow Americans in restoring freedom? I thank each of you for the work that you do. You're the activists, you're the people who move the movement. I say, bring it on. Let's roll. Let's keep making America great again. Thank you very much.